All right, guys, I have a real treat for you today. How the heck are you? I am Fastidious, but today I'm not playing the game. Hands-free, baby. I've got pre-recorded materials never seen before from Feboo himself, aka Jet, the #1 Guild Boss player in the entire world. Today we're talking Guild Boss 2, Semrah Apocalypse 2. You only need 120k to get that top chest. That's the top tier. Consistently, week after week, Feboo is not only #1 in the world on all the global server, but on top of that, over 400,000 mech fragments. Like 14x what he needs for the top rewards. It's a passion of his. Feboo and I have known each other for a long time, going back and forth on Discord. I'm lucky to say he watches my videos, but most importantly, this guy knows how to dominate the bosses in this game, one of the best players in Watcher of Realms. And today we are privileged enough for a full under the hood behind the scenes look at how he cooks. I'm going to tell you, all the key heroes he needs are A5. He's got maxed out exclusive artifacts, all this stuff, very good gear. That being said, and maybe it's because I've been on such good accounts before, this is one of the best in the world, don't worry, but I've seen better gear in theory, right? It's very, very high top percentile gear, right? I've seen slightly better builds. Why am I saying that? I'm not saying that to criticize Feboo. I'm not saying that to criticize Jet. I'm saying that to show off that with incredible builds, but not the very best of all time, he still is blowing everyone else out of the water. I'll put a picture up of the world rankings right now. It is week after week, #1, and that's because he has such a firm understanding of the fundamentals of the mechanics of the required technique out of the player to not just do well, but completely and utterly dominate this content. It's amazing stuff. So without further ado, I've got 2 videos. The first one is very short. This is a behind the scenes look at the gear, the artifacts, the awakenings, the skill ups, all that stuff. We'll go through every hero he's going to use in the battle. And then I have a very long 31-minute recording. That's not because he dragged it out. Getting to 400,000 plus mech fragments, 400,000 plus points in Apocalypse 2 literally just takes half an hour. The fight's already long enough for us normal players at 15, 20 minutes. To get it going that crazy long, it's a crazy long video. So the way I'm going to do it, we'll do 2 rotations through, of the 3 phases. We'll do that twice over once the fight starts, where I'll just introduce what he's doing, show you probably the first run through, that first cycle, just how much higher the damage is than you would ever expect on even a very, very good endgame account. It's so much higher. And then the second one, I'll introduce the mechanics for anyone that doesn't know the little techniques. But then we're going to show when he hits 120k. We'll fast forward to that. I'll keep the run, I'll get rid of myself. And after that, I say we pick it up at like 250k and we just enjoy that last burst together. Because trust me, it is something you're gonna be able to enjoy because it's just, you haven't seen it before, this kind of DPS. I've hyped it up enough. We don't need an intro. I've gone on and on. Let's get into the gear. I'm already gonna make myself a little smaller, going right down the line, starting with Volca. Volca's phenomenal. She's gonna have a little DPS. She's in great gear, but it's still only a little DPS compared to the A5 Lust, the ridiculous A5 Kagiri, and the A5 Arrogance. She's really there because she's a Nightmare unit, so she's great for the comp, being a 4th Nightmare unit, even though he does have 5. But most importantly, right, that damage decrease. We got a max out exclusive on her. We got that Scarlet Ferment with the passive consistently because it's a very fast build, as you're going to see. She keeps incredibly good uptime on decreasing the incoming damage from the boss, from Semrah, and that is huge. So that's going to be her role. I know a lot of you guys might already know this stuff, but I want this to be accessible to everybody, so I'm going to explain a lot of things. You can skip around as you see fit if you would like. She's in very nice gear here. All but one piece is an Ancient. We even have this nice variant bangle. It's a nice Soulbound Arcana set. You can see exactly 300% crit damage, very fast, which is important because you want her generating a lot of Scarlet Ferment, getting a lot of opportunities to place that damage decrease debuff on Semrah. Combine that speed, the nice DPS, but really that speed, that skill, and then that skill being tied to Scarlet Ferment, which is like the key mechanic in her kit, which has the duration boosted by her exclusive, which we'll see in a second. It's a perfect formula to really mitigate the incoming damage. There's only really 3 pure DPS in this comp, just straight up dominating DPS. He's got ridiculous ones, A5 Kagiri, best in the game, then a beautiful A5 Lust, who's about as good as it gets besides Kagiri, and then a beautiful A5 Arrogance. Those 3 can handle it. So after that, it's about perfect support. You get some nice debuffing out of Volca as well during her ultimate with those vulnerabilities, but then the damage decrease, right? So it all plays in together that way. We got nice attack here, just about 17k before the artifact. Crit capped, super speed, crit damage. Don't really care about the rage regen. It's a nice plus, but like I said, DPS isn't really our problem until the very, very end, or I should say Feboo, aka Jet's problem. We really want her keeping that decrease incoming damage up. Everything's maxed out. She's A5, obviously. There is, I said it was maxed out. It's actually a promo 4 Cruel Fate. That's pretty rare for this account. Usually all the exclusives are max, but still really, really nice. You can see the duration of Scarlet Ferment becomes permanent. So with a lot of Scarlet Ferment, she can place the decreased damage a lot more frequently. Really nice stuff. Moving on to our first key DPS, we got Arrogance and a very nice Soulbound Arcana build. Something besides Vocal you'll see consistently on these Nightmare units for Feboo is fairly low attack speed. It's obviously not low, it's 209 attack speed, but lower than you might normally expect. And that is because you get such a tremendous buff from your Nightmare Lord. You do not need to go overboard on the attack speed. So very often he's going to do attack to the absolute moon. He wants a decent amount of HP. Later in the fight, he does not want his guys dying, even though he uses a Carnelian, and then just very high crit damage. A little bit of rage regen is always nice. This is the pattern you're going to see, but it's just get that DPS into the moon, led by the attack bonuses and the attack stat, and then you can pick up some attack speed, you know, all that stuff. But it's DPS, it's attack, crit damage. Those are his priorities, and the results are definitely there. Max skill up's got that bond skill with Lust. The artifact, he does have his exclusive Eye of Mockery maxed out. There's burning the whole fight, so he's got that damage increase all the time. Here comes Lust, part of the reason we've got burning the whole fight. Again, good attack speed, not crazy, but that boost from Torador is significant enough. Very high attack, not as crazy as Arrogance and certainly not as crazy as Kagiri, but it's quite nice. The least HP of the bunch, so she's our fragile lady, but she's still fine. I also didn't mention this with Volca. Volca's giving everyone, because she's max skilled, she's giving everyone with every basic attack they put out some self-healing. So that's a whole nother way to get healing into your comp. You might not feel like you need this early on, but as you get deep into these battles, even past like 80k mech fragments, it makes a big difference, that kind of healing. That's why she might be an option over Alistair. But most important, when you get really deep into the battle, you need every little bit of healing you can get, because that boss is hitting super duper hard. There are the stats for Lust. Quite a nice build. Everything's going to be maxed out. Obviously, that A5 is crazy. Now she's going to do 6x hits instead of 4x hits during her ultimate. So every single hit, and she's pretty fast, you know, especially with Torador, is now a sextuple hitter. That is pretty nice. That's why Lust really is such crazy damage at that point. And then finally, he does have her exclusive, which is a very nice exclusive to begin with, but gets way strong with promotions. And that plus 25 max promo, 5 promotions. Phenomenal with that captivation of Burning Desire. Now onto Torador. You'll see we'll talk about it later, but he's wearing Goddess Grace. That is important. Part of the reason that's important, I can already tell you looking at these stats, super high HP, even without the artifact and stuff, he's over 110k. That is a lot. Good attack speed, which is going to help also with him getting some self-healing, right, from Volca, so you don't want him too slow. It also gives us a little bit of stunning in case things go awry later on in the battle. Some nice just tankiness in general. No rage regen, not the end of the world. We're looking for that tankiness, but you see the defense is kind of low. Max skilled out. We got max awakenings, beautiful. But then this Goddess Grace, that kind of picks up that low defense at only like whatever it was, 60, 300 without the artifact. It's pretty major when it's at max promotion. This isn't like a needed thing per se, but it is really potent to have on him because it allows to accommodate this build that he put together otherwise. So what did he do with that build? I should have mentioned. On the right side, he's doing Invigoration. That's because he's able to run Morale on his Faircy. You can only have one Morale person, Morale hero, ally. They do not stack. So this ensures he can get Invig on all his key DPS. He's got the Invig and the Immortal Warrior to get the HP super high. The defense is good, but it's not crazy. The artifact brings it to the level that you're going to want for a deep battle like this. Final thing about Torador, guys, I forgot to mention his passive, Hellfire Resurgence. You can see it over here. That's when he gets revived after his first death. When it's fully skilled, he gets full health and full rage. This can be triggered once, but at A5, he actually can do it a second time. So for every deploy, because at the end of the fight, he does die, right? But when he comes back, he gets 2 again. So for the first vast majority of the fight, he can be revived twice from this passive, not just once. That's the power of the A5. I misspeak about it later, but now you know how it actually works. And then when you do redeploy him, when you're just trying to scrounge at the end, as Jet does here, you'll see you get 2 revives. It's crazy. Now we got Kagiri. The damage this guy's about to put out is going to blow your guys' mind in half. He's got a maxed out demonic relic plus 25. This already is such an amazing choice for him at base promotion, but when it's maxed out, it's a permanent 25% damage increase. And then he puts that mark out when he does his strikes, which is all the time, especially when Feboo uses him, because he uses him properly. Lots of Ember Strikes, lots of Sweeping Strikes. Sweeping Strikes from the talent. He always controls the Ember Strike basically to get that from the ultimate. But then on top of that, damage dealt to the hero with the mark, and he's keeping the mark up the whole battle, is another 20% boost. So you get a 25% boost and a 20% boost. It's a 45% boost if you add it together. That is crazy. Throw that on the damage increase pile. Max out at A5. At A3, he gets these big damage boosts. The first time he does a sweeping strike, he gets a nice one. Extra direct damage to the main target. There's only one target here, so it's just extra damage. And then when he does his Ember Strike for the first time, extra direct damage twice, a little bit less, but combined more to the main target. Again, there's only one target, and those remain permanent. So it's 3 more instances of direct damage every time he deals damage for the whole fight. It's crazy. But at the A5, normally has a 25% chance when he slashes forward to then slash back and get a second hit. At A5, it's every time. Always double slashes. The sweeping strikes are where the big damage come from, and that's why the A5 Kagiri, I'm telling you, the damage is going to blow your mind. There's that max out exclusive. That's enough of our nightmares. We got 5 of those units, a full squad. Picking up with our next Lord, we've got a Watch Guard, and it is Leia. I love seeing this because I also run a Leia team for my Apocalypse 2. Granted, I'm doing about 145, 150k, not 400k plus, but it's still pretty good. Leia's really fun. The rage boosting, the damage boosting, very solid heals. He has that max out exclusive you're going to see. Really, really good on her. Running her in Invig to support the DPS, as well giving her a little heal effect. She's very fast with very solid rage regen. She's got great tankiness, which you're going to need deep in this fight. And then solid attack. The attack is not crazy. It's good, but it's not crazy. Everything's going to be maxed out here. And then you can see the Euphonic Cornet, max out exclusive. This is a great, great thing for her. You got that 100% chance to land a different array of potential buffs and boosts. Now we've got Elwyn. This Elwyn build feels kind of modest, right? Only 2 Ancients. We got tier 1 on the right side, tier 1 on the left side, tier 2 on the right side, another Invig hero. The HP is beautiful, it's nice and high. The attack is good, but not insane. We're really focused in here on a nice chunk of rage regen, but again, nothing so crazy. But Leia makes it that you don't need as much rage regen on Elwyn, but then very good attack speed. The key thing with that attack speed, part of the reason, the main reason I would say most people fail in the really crazy runs. So not the people that are trying to get 120k, but the people trying to push onto that leaderboard, like the way Feboo pushes up it and then dominates it. You really want that A3 Elwyn. You're getting a 20% chance to cleanse on her basic attacks. Her basic attacks are 3x multi-target hits. So you can kind of can't keep pace with the poisons later on in the fight if you don't have like an A1 Dasami or an A3 Elwyn. He has both. He's bringing the A3 Elwyn now. It's really strong. So he wants to go in really fast, lots of basic attacks to get lots of opportunities to cleanse. That's how he's going to keep up. Then he's got this max out Taya's Bomb. Not my favorite artifact there is, but because deep in this battle, so often his units are going to have such low health and very often just be dead at 0% health, but saved by Carnelian. We'll talk about Carnelian in a second. This is really cool, right? Because it's a 50% boost to the healing base multiplier, not the heal effect, which is like kind of a scaling sort of thing, boosting the healing multiplier. It's the actual base multiplier to begin with, and that's whenever a hero is healed and they have less than 40% health. So often later in this fight, which is kind of the only thing that matters besides racking up the damage at the beginning of the fight for him, because he wants it to go on for as long as possible and he wants to put out as much damage throughout. This comes in to be a huge save. So an atypical artifact for a normal account and a normal kind of run, nothing about this is going to be normal. Here we got Carnelian. You can see she's only awakened level 2, kind of weird. We had Elwyn is only awakened 4, Carnelian's only awakened 2. You can see Invig yet again, Salvation yet again. He's running Salvation on the left because these Salvation Ancients are always guaranteed rage regen and attack speed. And as we can look over here at the stats, the rage regen is super high, above that 100% soft cap, and with the Pantheon bonus coming up closer towards that 200% hard cap, and then super quick at 563, all while having some nice tankiness. Attack is a total afterthought. For this kind of use, she isn't in place of a stunner, just keeping everyone alive just by saving them over and over. She places her red dots, the soul essences, which give unyielding when your heroes are going to take fatal damage, and she just recycles and recycles. She does that with crazy rage regen and crazy attack speed. There you go, there's that maxed out Golden Scarab, the very best perfect artifact for her. Now we got Pharisee. I told you he was in morale. It's a good choice because as long as you can get the attack good enough, as long as you can get the attack speed good enough, and for him, some nice rage regen, another source of inspiration, but most importantly, really big bursty AoE heals, you don't need such, he's not so stat hungry, right? I mean, it kind of looks at it looking like this, but if you have gear like this, it doesn't feel stat hungry, so he's a good person to put the morale on. That's a 4% damage increase to all units that are deployed. We're definitely going to take that. Only one unit can wear this, so this is a nice choice. You can see the stats are solid. They're like, by the standards of this account, modest, but they're good enough, and that's what's important. Euphoric Orb is really nice for Fasti because this is going to give an attack speed boost. Basically, uptime is 50%. Every 60 seconds, or excuse me, uptime is 66%. Every 60 seconds, you're going to get a 30% attack speed boost to everyone in range for 40 seconds. So 40 out of the 60 seconds, 2/3 uptime. The key thing, though, he's got that big Vortex Hollow Fasti range, so he's giving everyone this. He fits everyone into his range. The other thing with Fasti, kind of goes without saying, but his Sand Aegis passive, when maxed out, obviously here it is maxed out, minus 30% incoming AoE damage. Nearly everything Semrah does is AoE besides the hits to your tank or whoever you're tanking with, your high HP hero. Pretty good. Our final hero is going to be Constance. So these are our watchers. We've got Leia lording over Constance, and you can see we've got Invig over here, and there's nothing crazy here. It's just attack to the moon. Everything else seems to be an afterthought. A little bit of rage regen, a little bit of heal effect, a little bit of attack speed, but it's really just how high can we get that attack, get that invigoration, so she gets the boost to herself, and she gives it to someone else. We got that Warlord on the left, and then the artifact might shock you guys. We got an A5 Constance here. The A3 is going to boost her attack even higher as she consistently gets healed, which leads to a 10% post-deployment attack boost. Because she's got much higher attack, base attack, than Dolores, actually the 16% she gets post-deployment from Keen Wisdom is going to be more powerful than the 5% plus the much bigger flat attack main stat you would get from Astral Obelisk. It may surprise you, but actually the most attack he can get out of her here, which is his goal because he's looking for the highest damage number in the realm, it's going to come from an epic artifact. So there you have it, guys. That is going to be it. Let's head into the battle now. This is our second video. I'll show you. This is 31 minutes. You're not going to have to sit through all of it. Let's focus on the deployments now. You can see we are not running Kagiri as a watchguard. He could have fit on either of these factions, so it's important to note. Some of you may have been wondering about that. We're running 5 Nightmare units. Let's get that extra attack speed for Kagiri, and then we're running just the 2 watchers. So we go in. You can see the deployments. Everyone's getting the Invig as they need. Constance, we got Lust here. She's kind of hard to see. Behind, we've got Arrogance. In front of that, we've got Kagiri. Back here goes Carnelian pointed up. To me, that is very much the Carnelian spot. With other comps, you could put her here pointing left. That can make things funky with Fasti. And a lot of comps, this is like the key Carnelian spot. You want her to have as many units in range as possible to get those red dots everywhere. Tons and tons of Soul Essence. A bunch of deploys just happened really fast because obviously he's at auto at this point. We got Leia over here. Leia's covering everyone now with her ult that expands to almost like, if you could imagine, if she had that 3x4 that she's offset in, pointed in every direction. You can look up Leia's ult range if you want. Take my word for it. She's covering everyone but Torador right now. We got over here Volca. Volca is, interestingly enough, out of range of Lust, so Lust won't be able to whip her into shape, but Lust is touching every other Nightmare unit from this spot. She's got Kagiri here, Arrogance here, and Torador here. That's really nice for her interesting kit as she whips her own allies into shape. Down goes Torador. Torador, as you can see, is out of Carnelian range, but because Carnelian's so fast, so much rage regen, by the time we need it later on in the fight, everyone's going to have dots, so all the excess dots can bounce to Torador. We should be fine. And when things happen to maybe go awry, he does have that one instance where he doesn't die, which is very nice, right? That's part of his passive. I think we covered everyone else. We got Elwyn here pointed to the right, so she's covering everybody except for Kagiri. Kagiri's in a classic Kagiri spot. I actually had Jet, Feboo give me advice on this a couple weeks ago when I got Kagiri. You can hide him up here. He doesn't need as much direct healing because you can time out when big damage is coming to put him into like his sheathed state when he's invulnerable, and then he parries. After that, he can be hit again, but you can avoid taking the really big hits. It is important, and you'll see Jet is perfect at this, to time out the cleanses with Kagiri doing his slashes, because his slashes will bring him. You can't control the talent exactly unless you've got a stopwatch, but with the ultimate you can, with the Ember Strike. I've been saying slashes, I mean strikes. We've got the Slashing Strike and the Ember Strike, but when you control with the ultimate, you want to make sure he's not ulting out of range, striking out of range, and then Elwyn misses the cleanse on him. But he can, in general, just take a lot less damage, so that's nice. You see, he's just going to hold as many ults as he can. Nothing matters at this point. He's super OP. He's going to save everything for the end. It's very important because he's not trying to get 120k here. He's trying to get the highest score in the world, which he does. He really wants to put as much DPS into these in-between rounds, those vulnerable states, as he possibly can. So you'll see that's what he's doing here. It's still on auto fight. You'll see there, now it enters, you can see there's the double big vulnerability he places on himself. He's going to take a lot more damage now, and now this is where he unloads with Kagiri, with Lust. Kagiri already went, but if you can rewind and see it, he gets Constance going, laying in. You can see he pauses it here to take it off auto fight. And then you'll see the number I look for after, if I'm doing a takeover. I do a lot of Guild Boss 2 takeovers. If anyone's interested, you can reach out on Discord, check out my website. But you'll see this is not about me, this is about Jet. You'll see he's almost at 5k. If when he's coming up and that bar starts to refill for the first Aegis, right? 5k is already pretty good. If I'm seeing 4.5, 5k, 5.5k, I'm excited. I'm like, this comp probably has the DPS to go deep into a fight. If it's over 5k, over 5.5k, we're looking at, yeah, it's going to get to 220k, assuming the technique, the mechanics, the support, the skill ups, everything is all there, right? And it's a good comp. Look how high he already gets. So I said 5k is kind of what's nice. Let's see, when he stands up and the bar starts filling in, we're already over 8,000. So you can see this DPS is on another level. As this gets going with the Aegis round, there's not too much to talk about because he dominates it so much. Kagiri keeps dispelling the Aegis buffs, stripping them off, making it really easy. On top of A5 Kagiri putting out ridiculous damage, more on that in a second. Here comes one Aegis buff, and you'll see Kagiri with this nice build, with the well-timed ultimates, and with the big attack speed boost from Torador, keeps those off constantly. And yeah, we're just we're just melting through this. He's going to save all the big booming DPS. We also get a nice damage increase from Leia. Starting out with Constance, getting Lust going. Kagiri is about to go. That one's slightly off timing, but doesn't matter too much early. You'll see though, he keeps the overall statistics open the entire fight over here. So please do me a favor and keep an eye on that. And just watch A5 Kagiri blow your mind. Because unless you've seen A5 Kagiri in action or you stalk the world leaderboards for Guild Boss 2 and you've checked out Jet's team and some of the other top teams, this Kagiri damage is going to blow your mind. This is how the mechanic works here with the cleanse. He's going to go up here with that Venom. As he starts to come down, that's where we're going to trigger Eloin. If you're having trouble with the rage, just a tip for you, that she can't come back around again later in the fight, you can do it right when it's at its peak. Right when it's here, you can do it. You don't have to wait till it starts coming back down. Certainly don't have to wait till it's like already hitting like we are doing here. But we've got so much rage in this comp, such good builds, and so much rage boosting, 10% every ult from Leia. It's not a concern. We're more concerned with timing this out to make sure Kagiri's never going out of Eloin's range. So here we go. We're saving everything else up. Getting Leia going, getting Constance going. Here comes Kagiri. He's going to get slammed. There's a Ember Strike. We're going with everyone and a ton more damage. So after that first round, so we've done each 3 of the phases. We did the Death Saw, we do the Aegis, we do the Venom. I like to see, let's say 14 to 16,000 damage if I want to be feeling good and say, oh, this is a good account. We've got some nice DPS. Look where we are already when he sits up. Let's wait till it starts going red. Boom, just under 25k. So he's almost doubling what a decent expectation would be for me if I'm trying someone else's account out. And it's just going to ramp up and ramp up. We can already take a little peek here. Kagiri is popping off. It's only going to get crazier. I didn't really talk too much about the Death Saw. We'll talk about it later because I can't really show it off because he's too powerful for these early stages. You can see we're getting these red dots up. These are the soul essences. When hero would die, if they're wearing the red dot, instead they lose the dot and they get that unyielding for 5 seconds from Carnelian. Carnelian can then ult. If they're under 50% health, she'll place it on everyone in range. So that will be everybody but Torador. And this will just put the dots right back on. This is kind of in place of the suns. It's a pretty end game thing, but also very meta. Like if you have Carnelian, don't feel like just because your account's not that good not to try it. It's really powerful. And then it doesn't just help in the stun phases. It can kind of work everywhere. I will say you might be wondering about Torador being outside of the range. Ashley hits units that already have it. Her moves, her healing waves, and everything can bounce around. Once they hit Torador enough, he'll get a red dot anyway, even though he's outside of range. It will get tricky later on in the battle, but this Torador is tanky, and Torador also can save himself once with that passive. You'll see how it develops. Saving everything now, you can see very few stuns, right? We got 1 stun, 2 stun. Can he get a 3rd? Torador gets a 3rd at the end there, but that's it. Right? But we don't care. Early on, we'll take the damage regardless, but you'll see later on, everyone would die there, but it doesn't matter because Carnelian's just going to come with the save. I don't think we really need to watch one more. I guess the final thing I could tell you is normally heading into this next stage, if I'm seeing 22k. Sorry I keep giving these references, but I want to, from the get, put into perspective how much damage we're talking about here. If I'm seeing 22k, I'm feeling pretty good. Look what we're going to be looking at right now. Look at what we're going to be looking at right now. Let's wait till the red bar starts filling. Looking at 35k, so 13k over what to me would be a nice expectation for a strong account. He's just blowing everyone out of the water. The final thing I want to show you right now, I'm going to wait 1 second. It lined up really well in the recording he sent me. Let's wait for it. The Aegis mode is a joke. We'll talk about this much more later as we fast forward. Let's wait here. Arrogance, get some hits. All right, perfect. There you go. Because this lines up so you can really start tracking the damage. I just noticed this when I was watching earlier. Lust and Arrogance kind of hit 100 million damage at the same time. You can see here's Kagiri at 144. She's like 44% higher on the DPS already at this point. It's not like Volka's doing nothing, but you can see she's on a whole nother level lower. We really have these 3 Nightmare King DPS, this trio. They do all the work. All right, I think this is a good time for me to take myself away. I'll let you watch it, but I'm going to speed it up. We'll check back in when he hits 120k. We'll see how fast he does it. And then we'll check back in again when this run starts going bonkers at like 250k plus. All right, see you in a second. All right, just took down the Aegis there. You can see we got a huge burst. So he's got 3 stacks right now of the buff, as you can see, the boss, I mean. Typically, a normal account, someone doing this in the normal way without the best DPS, would be hitting 120 as you clear the Venom phase, the Acid, Venom, whatever, Poison Arm phase, when he's got 4 buffs. So he's doing it a full buff early, a full round early, because you're going to see as he gets this here, takes it down, no problema. You'll see he's already going to pass 120 in this in-between. He's like a full cycle ahead of everybody else. And as you can see, the support's really good. The DPS is really good. So he's just going to keep that pace. And that's a big key thing to how there's so much success found with Jet's run here, with Feboo's run. So we'll see as he takes it down, already he's at 117. Full sight, full 3, one of each, right? A full rotation ahead of everybody. Blows past 120k. Let's let this run. It's going to take a while. It's not going to be as crazy as you think, obviously, because you get more and more damage per round. Let me take myself out of this. We'll pick it back up at 250. Let me pick up the speed a little bit too. See you then. All right, here we are, guys, coming up on 250. I will say, and I knew this because I watched the video already, but I should have anticipated as I was queuing it up. Stopping at 250 here, which we're about to hit, is not going to cut it because he has to actually start working in the second half of the fight. Once you could actually watch it, I know I sped it up to 3 or 4x speed, whatever I ended up doing. There's 250. But once he, passes 180, 200, he has to start paying attention. So there's a lot more little maneuvers as opposed to letting things run on 2x and doing quick clicks using that quick cast. So instead, I think I will catch up with you guys probably at around, you can see there's still 14 minutes left of this thing. We'll pick it up at around, let's say 350K, 360K when I feel like it's a special moment. Let me speed it up again. And like I said, click around as you see fit. There's no short way to share this with you. He literally fought for 31 minutes straight. So I can only cut it up so much. See you in a second. Alrighty, folks, let's pick it back up here. You can see it's finally starting to get a little hard. I say that because if you didn't know, this round here for the Aegis is 3 minutes long. So typically, if you want to feel like you're on pace with the DPS, assuming you're stripping the Aegis stacks off, when you're at a minute with 1/3 left, you want only 1/3 of the health left. We were already down under 20% there with Feboo, and you can see he's going to kill this with like 30 seconds to spare. So what shocked me the most, you guys can go rewind if you're interested or take my word for it. I know I sped a lot of things up. I know this video is long. My apologies. It's a long run. It's shocking how consistently his DPS completely outpaces the content even this deep in. We're now over triple the required amount of mech frags for the top chests you can get. And it's still, I mean, he's tearing through that with 30 seconds to spare. You can see that time he jumped a little earlier on the Elwyn. Tight timing with the Kagiri. Let's see what he's going to do now. Getting some DPS out. Now he needs the DPS every time he can get it. Timing out Leia for those increased ults right after, and also getting that damage increase. Also getting some rage for everybody. You're going to see what he's going to do with Kagiri here. Making good use of the Wood Elf to keep Elwyn alive and also keep Volk alive. He uses, this is like what I would suggest everyone does. So you do the one rotation with the venom, acidic venom, where you do the nice timing on Elwyn like I described, and then you're not poisoned, so it's nice. And then he does the big slam. The next rotation he does it, you don't have an Elwyn to use, you probably only brought one cleanser, so you eat that one. You can use a little extra healing if you have it like he did with Leia, but then he's going to do the laser Cyclops mode. You wait till he's about halfway, maybe a little more than halfway through with that, then you trigger your Pharisee for a burst heal, catching you right after the fact. Here comes again. You see, he still waits longer in Elwyn than I would, but he's on it every time, so it's completely sufficient. Maybe it's so he can get a little more healing on the back end. That'd be my only theory. But like I said, with everything, he knows way more than I do. Timing out Leia here for the heals and the damage boost. You see, timing out Leia, especially an A1 Leia who gets 5 more seconds of the increased damage from her ultimate. I think it's 25% increased damage, I'm pretty sure. Matching that with constant, so you're getting the big attack boost from the inspiration and the big damage boost from Leia. That's why we see these crazy numbers. I mean, here we are, 25%, so 3/4 of the way through, and he's over half his time left still. So DPS is just never the issue for this guy. It never is. We're way ahead of schedule. We're gonna time out Eloin here. Boom, landed on Kagiri. Always tight there because no one is. You can't time out that talent, so you don't know if he might, you know, jump out of range. The timing is always changing in these long fights. That could throw you off. We break it here. We go for a burst. Pretty interesting to go for a burst. On my account, it's hard to keep up with these things. Granted, I do not have... What's that? That's something on my shirt. Granted, I do not have Carnelian to like kind of be your failsafe. Carnelian's broken for this stuff. So I would be saving the DPS for this so I could get through the SARM as fast as possible. Granted, when I'm doing it, we're at like 125k. When he's doing it, he's all the way up here, coming up 390. Crazy stuff. Don't forget to take a peek on the right here for overall statistics. We're coming up at 1.5 billion, right? That's 1,413 millions. So almost 1.5 billion damage for Kagiri. Then we got that A5 Lust. Then we got Arrogance. Doing good stuff here. I want you to watch this Carnelian timing. This is why you need all that rage regen. Finally, it's getting, you can see he's being very particular here. Finally, this content is almost hard for Jet. And sorry I call him, he's Jet on Discord. That's how I know him. Feboo in the game. So here we come to Slam. You can see here the good timing for it. We wait. It's very tight. Right before it's reaching that apex, that's the good time to trigger the ultimate. It's actually something I learned watching this. Usually I do it right when it's here. He's doing it like it's here on the way to here. That's how he treats it. You can see everyone basically gets wiped, but we quickly save them. Tordor no dot right now, so we need those bounces. That's why you need that super fast speed on your Carnelian. We get a little bit of healing there. The damage is still amazing. We passed 50% with over 2 minutes left. I love saying we as if I'm a part of this. Tordor's stuns at this point do not matter. His attack is so high with these 9 stacks. If you didn't catch it, 9 stacks of the crazy buff. It just doesn't matter. You're gonna get wiped. So it comes down to Carnelian. Here, watch that again, this Carnelian timing. Wait for it. He really does this super slow-mo. As it's up, but not yet at the peak, it's kind of like right here, but not here. It's on its way. That's when he's triggering it. Slam, put it back on. These delayed animations are tough, but that's why like you need to not have all the perfect things, not just have all the perfect things, but have the perfect technique as well. Here comes the big slam. We finally lost our first heroes of the game, falling apart just a bit as we approach 400k, but the DPS will take us to the 400k finish line. We did lose Tordor, who lost his dot, and Eloin, who, weirdly enough, let's actually rewind. How did Eloin lose her dot to begin with? Let's go here. Here comes the slam. Slam on Eloin. She loses the dot. We ult with Carnelian, and I think Eloin healed herself. It was just a weird timing. Watch this. So Eloin's health goes to 0, right? But Carnelian has that crazy delay. That's why I focus on the trigger. Now watch this. Eloin's dead. Let's see. Eloin gets healed right there. It's hard to see who it came from. Maybe even from herself. But Eloin gets healed right there. She gets healed to about 70%, 72% or something. So now you'll see in 1 second the Carnelian thing goes to trigger. All the red dots appear, not on Eloin, right? Because she's above it. Leia was right about it, 50%, but you need everyone 50% or less health. Eloin was too high. That's an interesting thing to notice there. Let's go back to where it fell apart. Coming with the Death Saw now. We still should be able to get saves with Carnelian. So watch it here. Oh, we also lost Volca, I should have mentioned. It's my bad. So that's also hard, right? He's hitting so hard regardless at this point, even with the damage reduction debuff, the damage decrease that she places, but losing her, it certainly doesn't help our cause. I also wanted to give a shout out to Farsi. None of this is possible without Farsi. He's already starting to build on the left because he knows that the comp's slowly falling apart. Not to be critical, this is already brilliant, but you might as well build on the left there and let her miss that first hit. Carnelian's lost now, so we just got to DPS this here, and we're just going to make it. Here comes the Death Saw. We don't want to get hit, and this is a beautiful run, right? Look at that. Gets it right when he was ready to go slam on Volca, get ready to load up. That's when we get to the 0.0. Coming in here, we'll get a little burst of in the vulnerability stage, and there you kind of have it. I'll let this play out behind me, but that is the run, right? He's not going to make it through this next thing without all his DPS. You can see just under 1.5 billion for Kagiri, Geary survived that. You saw he took no damage. That was just because he did his parry. So he was in like a sheath stance, which means he doesn't take the damage. Instead, he goes back and parries. We can start getting people out so we can get a little stuff going. We just passed the 400K mark. It's really a brilliant run. I'm curious to see with new heroes or new strategies or whatever, how he can optimize this even more. I know this is a crazy kind of video because it's so long, it's so endgame, but I know there's someone out there that really loves this stuff. I mean, I really love this stuff. So if that's you, definitely let me know. It's amazing how tight it is for that 400K, but he is just going to make it. See, can we get a little bit left? We get wiped. Their Tora, because we had to redeploy him. Now he has his passive again. It can only trigger once, but we redeployed him, so we got another trigger. And let's see. Can we get a little bit more going? He's trying to time it out. So he timed it out there to try to get the hit on Constance, but she doesn't die until, like, the death doesn't trigger before he can place Lust. So in between the fatal damage and the actual death triggering, maybe there's a window for Lust. Just missed it, but there you go. 401,394 mech frags. That blows everything up. Truly incredible stuff. I want to give such a big thank you to Feboo, aka Jet, for sharing this with us, letting us have a little lens, a little window into the best guild boss run in the game. Maybe some people learn things, maybe some people are just entertained, but regardless, this was a lot of fun to make. Thank you also, Feboo, for your patience with me. It's hard for me always to find content windows in my schedule, and when I do, it's hard to find the time to do a big project like this that takes me a couple hours. So great job, dude. Thank you. I'm happy to share this with the world. If you like my stuff, subscribe to the channel. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd love if some people gave some thank yous to Jet, some thank yous to Feboo. Share with your mother. Maybe she likes 400,000 mech fragment runs. She probably does, right? I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.
Fastidious.